I arrived home from work at my usual time, just after 6 o'clock. The clock had barely ticked past the hour when I walked into the kitchen and saw Ashley standing there, ironing a sleek black dress. It took me a moment to process what I was seeing. For a split second, I thought maybe we'd made plans that I had forgotten about, and the idea actually lifted my spirits. I always liked going out with her. She had a way of catching everyone's attention effortlessly. Her hazel eyes, her curly auburn hair, and the figure she'd worked hard to keep in shape with yoga. I catch other men sneaking glances, and I always felt a quiet sense of pride in knowing she was mine. "Hey, babe," I greeted as I loosened my tie. "What's the occasion?" She didn't look up from the dress. She was ironing. "You won't believe who I ran into today," she said, a hint of excitement in her voice. "Who?" I asked, leaning against the counter, still tugging at my tie. "Jake," she replied, her hands never stopping their steady motion over the fabric. The name hit me like a punch. For a moment I couldn't place it, but then it clicked. "Jake, your high school ex." She nodded, her gaze still focused on the fabric. "Yeah, crazy, right?" I bumped into him at the coffee shop near my office. Jake was a part of her past, someone she'd always talked about, her high school sweetheart, the one she had been in love with before we met. Their relationship had ended when he went off to college on the other side of the country, and by the time Ashley and I met, she was still trying to get over him. I'd settled for being her friend until we finally started dating in our sophomore year, and from there, things had grown into something real. "So what's he up to these days?" I asked, trying to sound casual, but there was a tightness in my chest. "He's in town for work," she said easily. "He's a sales rep now, travels a lot. Anyway, we got to talking, and we're going to grab dinner tonight to catch up." "Dinner? Just the two of them?" My stomach churned. "You're going out with him? Alone?" I asked, trying to keep my tone even. "Yeah, just to reminisce," she said, glancing at me with a small smile. "Old high school stories, you know." I couldn't return her smile. "I'm not comfortable with this. Ash, you're going out with your ex. Just the two of you. It doesn't feel right." She sighed, setting the iron down. "Michael, it's not like that. It's not a date. I just didn't think you want to sit there while we talk about things that happened before we even met. You'd be bored." "Bored or not, I'm your husband," I said, my voice firm. "It's not about boredom. It's about how it looks, how it feels. A married woman going out with her ex. Just the two of them. It's not right. What if I told you I was grabbing dinner with Lauren from college and said you couldn't come?" She rolled her eyes. "I trust you because I know you love me. This is nothing, Michael. You're overreacting." "Am I?" I shot back. "You're ironing that dress, your sexy little black number. For what? If it's just old friends catching up, why not keep it casual?" Her jaw tightened, and she set the dress down. "I like looking nice when I go out. It's not a big deal. You're acting like you don't trust me." "It's not about trust," I replied. "It's about respect. I'm not okay with this. Ashley, either I come with you or you don't go." That set her off. "You're not my dad, Michael," she snapped, her voice rising. "I'm a grown woman. I'm going, and you don't get to stop me." She grabbed the dress and stormed off to our bedroom, slamming the door behind her. I stood there in the silence, feeling the weight of it all. After a minute, I grabbed a soda from the fridge and sat at the table, my thoughts spinning. We had always talked things through before, always worked things out. But this felt different. This was her drawing a line, and I wasn't sure how to cross it. When she came out, she looked stunning. The dress clung to her in all the right places, and her hair was swept up with a kind of care that wasn't for a casual dinner. She paused by the table, leaned in, and kissed me softly on the cheek. "We'll talk when I get back, okay?" she said gently. I wasn't in the mood for gentle. "We've talked," I said, my eyes fixed on the soda can in my hands. "You've made it clear that my feelings don't matter. Go do what you want, but don't expect me to be fine with it." Her expression hardened. "I'm not sleeping with him. You jerk. It's dinner." She spun on her heel and walked out the door, slamming it behind her. I went to bed early, hoping to block out the thoughts swirling in my head. Where was she? What were they talking about? What were they laughing about? Around 10 that night, I heard her come in. She went straight to the bathroom, showered like she always did, then slid into bed beside me, her skin brushing against mine. "Hey, babe, how about some makeup sex?" she whispered. I turned to face her, my voice flat, not really feeling it. "Ash, I'd just be wondering if you're thinking about him." She huffed, exasperated. "What, you think I got all hot and bothered with Jake and came home to you?" "Did you?" I asked, keeping my tone even. "No," she stammered. "I'm saying I'm here with you because I love you. Why can't you see that?" "Because you don't see why this bothers me," I said, sitting up. "I'm your husband. My feelings used to matter to you, but now it's like Jake's back and I'm just in the way." She fell quiet, her eyes dropping to the covers. "You're right," she finally admitted, her voice small. "I got caught up seeing him again. I'm sorry. Can you forgive me?" I sighed and pulled her close. "Yeah, I forgive you. That night we made love. And for a brief moment, I convinced myself it was all over. I let it go, thinking we had moved past it. But 2 weeks later, she called me from work. "Hey, I have to stay late tonight. Special project," she said, sounding breezy. I paused, my soda halfway to my lips. "Late, huh? On a Wednesday?" "Yeah, just some deadlines," she replied like it was no big deal. I didn't like the sound of it. Wednesday, the day Jake had come into town for work. Supposedly. "All right," I said, trying to sound casual. "See you later." But as soon as I hung up, that old unease crept in. I told myself I was being paranoid, but I couldn't shake the feeling. I needed to know. So I stopped by her office, with burgers as an excuse. I rode the elevator up, signed in, and knocked on her glass office door. When she spotted me, she smiled warmly. "Hey, babe," she said, unlocking the door and hugging me. "What's this?" "I thought you might be hungry," I said, holding up the bag. "That's so sweet," she beamed. "Let's make it quick, though. I've got a lot to do." We ate quickly, chatting about our days. When I kissed her goodbye and left, I felt a little foolish for doubting her. Maybe that dinner with Jake had been a one-time thing. But then, 2 weeks later, she called again, another late night, another Wednesday. I wanted to believe her. I really did. I had my doubts, but I wasn't sure at first. Months later, on a Friday night, I found myself at a local steakhouse for one of those twice-yearly gatherings. Christmas in June, they called it. I wasn't close to many of the people there, just a few familiar faces. I mingled, sipping on soda and making small talk with spouses and coworkers. That's when I met Karen, an older woman with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense vibe. "I'm the office manager," she said, shaking my hand. "I handle the extra assignments." I smiled, tried to keep things light. "So you're the one keeping Ashley late, huh? Making my nights a little lonelier." Karen tilted her head, looking puzzled. "What do you mean?" she asked. "You know," I said casually, "those special projects she's been staying late for a couple times a month." Karen's brow furrowed. "I haven't given Ashley any projects lately. We had a few, but those were for others. She stays late sometimes, sure, but usually it's to catch up after long lunches or errands." My chest went cold. I mumbled something about mixing up names and tried to laugh it off, but my mind was racing. Long lunches? No projects? I had taken her at her word like a husband should, and now I felt like a fool. Those Thursday nights started to look different. Maybe Jake had switched days. Maybe they were on to me, try to throw me off. Or maybe I was just being paranoid. I needed proof. The next Thursday, I borrowed my buddy James's truck and parked across from her office at noon. I watched as she stepped out of the lobby, hand in hand with some guy. Tall, dark hair, had to be Jake. They walked to the parking lot laughing, carefree. I snapped a few photos with my phone, my hands shaky. Her coworkers might not recognize me. But this was bold. They climbed into a gray sedan and drove off. I followed from a distance. A few miles out, they pulled into a cheap motel. They didn't even check in at the front desk, like it was routine. I parked far enough away and watched as Jake led her to her room. She kissed him at the door, slow and deep. My insides twisted, but I kept snapping photos. She still had her wedding ring on. Wonder if that made it more exciting for him. I sat there for hours, numb, but my next steps were already taking shape in my mind. I called a lawyer and took a few days off work. By 2:30, she came out, fixing her hair, her dress slightly wrinkled. I didn't need any more proof. That night, she called with the same old excuse, working late. I played along. Okay, I said. She noticed something was off. You always call when I'm late, she said. When she got home, her tone was playful. What's up, she asked. Got busy in the garage. I lied. Lost track of time. Hope those late nights wrap up soon. Yeah, she said, or I'll tell him to give it to someone else. I nodded, already knowing that the next time would be the last. I had already split our savings and set things in motion. I wasn't following her again. I had everything I needed. The next Thursday, I let her call come and go. I ate takeout without tasting it. Then I started packing, just my clothes, my gear. Everything else was hers, or things I didn't want. By 7 o'clock, I was ready. Ashley walked in at 7:25, all smiles like nothing had changed. Hey, babe, she said, setting her purse down and leaning in for a kiss. I pulled back, my face blank. We need to talk. She blinked, caught off guard. Okay, honey, let me just... No, I said, nodding toward the kitchen table. Now. We sat down in the same spot where we'd shared countless cups of coffee and laughter. She grinned, thinking we were about to discuss paint colors. I kept my voice steady. Those late nights, how are the project going? Great, she said, perky as ever. They're really happy with my work. Could be a promotion soon. Nice, I replied. Tell me about them. What have you been working on? Her smile faltered. Just some reports. You know, data stuff, regional stats. Vague answers weren't going to cut it. Anything else you want to tell me? She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Just that I love you. I shook my head, thoughts racing. I thought I knew that too, until I found out about you and Jake. She sighed, exasperated. Michael, not this again. I haven't seen him since that dinner months ago, she said. Really? I slid my phone across the table. The motel photo stared up at her and Jake, her fixing her hair outside that room. Her head dropped, her hands trembling. I pushed the divorce papers over to her. No, Michael, please, she whispered. It was nothing, I swear. Can't we fix this? Counseling? Anything? No, Ash, I said firmly. Cheating's a deal breaker. You're my wife, and you've been with him. Lied to my face. That's disrespect. Disrespect to me. To us. There's no coming back from that. Tears welled in her eyes. It wasn't about you. I love you. Seeing him just brought back old feelings. That first night was just dinner, but then he kept popping into my head. 2 weeks later, he asked me to lunch, and it happened. I won't lie. After that, it got easier but less exciting. I was going to end it. I swear. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, too, I said, standing. I loved you, but we're done. I walked out, got in my truck, and never looked back. Months later, the divorce was final. She didn't fight it. She moved away, probably with Jake. I got a small place, threw myself into work, and landed a bonus. Still, I miss her sometimes, that spark she had. Almost a year later, she texted. In town. Wanted to grab drinks. I agreed, curious. At the bar, she looked thinner. Still gorgeous. Hey, I said, hugging her lightly. What's up? Thinking of moving back, she said, sipping her wine. Miss it here. Jay cool with that? I asked, no edge in my voice. We're done, she said. He was cheating on me too. Had other women on his route. Never stopped. Some husbands roughed him up. He bolted after the hospital. No clue where he is. That's rough, I said, meaning it. Karma, I guess. She gave a dry laugh. I'm job hunting, but there's one thing I need to settle. She smiled, the one that used to melt me. What's that? I asked. I'm sorry, Michael, she said, her eyes softening. I was an idiot chasing a ghost. We had something great. I still love you. Any chance we could try again? Before I could answer, the door swung open. A woman in a green dress strode over, dropped her bag on a chair, and kissed my cheek. Sorry I'm late, babe, she said, grabbing the rum and coke I'd ordered her. Meeting ran long. Ashley's face fell. Some good stuff, I hope. Mostly Olivia, I said, laughing. He speaks well of you, except the end bit. Guess that's normal. Ashley's eyes glistened. He's a good guy, she said thickly. Hang on to him. Don't mess up like I did. Olivia laughed. I will. She flashed her ring. That set Ashley back. She stared at it, deflating. Congrats, she murmured. I hoped maybe with time we could. I began. I get it. Olivia cut in, gentle but firm. But I'd love to know you. You shaped him into the guy I love. Maybe friends. Ashley snorted. Yeah, someone told me that once. Wish I'd listened. She stood, but I told her to stay. She shook her head and left. Olivia squeezed my hand. Months later, I proposed by a lake. Her yes lit up my world. We built a life. Trust, love, everything. Ashley faded into the past. I let her go, looking at Olivia now. Laughing beside me, I knew. Sometimes the best things come after the worst. I had everything I needed.